And first of all, Eid Mubarak. You're listening to the Property Wise Show with myself, Shaz Nawaz, and
Is that my turn to speak?
I was hoping you would, by the way.
It's Kieran.
All that food you've had during Eid, isn't it?
It is.
Especially yesterday afternoon.
Oh, yes, that was fantastic food.
What did you enjoy most?
The little
Fish cake type things.
fish cake type things. Yeah,
Yeah. They're called shami kebabs.
they were amazing.
Yeah.
They absolutely amazing.
You had about 8, didn't you?
Not quite that many.
Seemed like it anyway.
I think I had about 4.
Okay. And samosas.
And samosas.
And the chaat.
And the chicken.
And
The
chicken.
seasoning on the chicken was nice as well.
And the rice.
Really nice. And the rice and the
And you want some custard at the end.
yeah.
Yeah. All that was
Apple
missing
custard.
was tea.
Yeah, some mint tea.
Yeah.
Nice mint tea at the end. Bit of honey. That'd have been nice.
Sugar.
Yeah.
Can't have everything.
No,
But did you have a good Eid then, Kieran?
I did. It was very nice. Thank you.
And you fasted the whole month.
I did.
How was that
fast.
for you?
The food wasn't difficult. The liquids were. Not having coffee, water throughout the day was more of a challenge, but it was an achievement. I feel I've achieved something that I wouldn't have done previously. So yeah, it was good.
Are you expecting a pat on the back from me by any chance?
No,
Not today.
not today. We've got larger goals to get pat on
We've
the
got
back.
plenty of stuff to talk about today, but before we get into that, we always love your interaction. So if you want to call us, it's 01733 602 133. You can text us on 07411 191 062, or you can contact us via any of the live streams on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. So please do get in touch. So what do we have lined up today, Kieran?
So today, are we starting with mindset and doing wise property, or are we property wise and starting with the property side of things?
Whichever bit you like.
Okay, well, I think this week, because based on what we were saying last time, we will start with the property side of things. So talking property, we need to talk about first things first. We're not financial advisors. We're not qualified to give financial advice or investment advice. Everything we do say and give is based on personal experience, our own anecdotes, and our own understandings. If you want to get professional advice, by all means, seek professional advice on the subject of finance. Now, with that out of the way, in this Property Wise property show, we're going to talk about all things property throughout the shows, and we will start with
The goldmine area.
goldmine areas.
See, I've read your mind.
You did read my mind and possibly my notes.
No. You mean you make notes?
Of course I make notes.
What's wrong with you?
Well, I'm not as smart as you, Shaz. I can't
You
do
mean
this
you
without
take this
notes.
very seriously and you prepare and you do your research and you
Absolutely.
think about things and you write it down?
I don't want to give people wrong information. And
Or you mean you go to every effort to give them the best information?
exactly that. So
What is the goldmine area?
a goldmine area is a location that for you has excellent potential for property investment. It's an area that has potentially got high demand for housing, and you are expecting it, based on your research, to experience significant growth and development in the future. Could be in an up-and-coming neighbourhood. It could be a well-liked area within a well-established area that you like, or just an area in general within a town or city or village that's in high demand. Now, there are a number of benefits of knowing your goldmine area that people often miss, or I wouldn't say miss, but they misunderstand why they need a goldmine area. So, I mean, the first and biggest one, and the thing that people, I think, probably talk about most is potential for capital growth. Investing in the right gold mine area for you can lead to you investing in an area that has significant capital growth potential over time. And that's because the demand for the property in the area increases, and as more people move into the area, property values are more likely to rise. As they rise, they provide investors with a high return on their investment, and this capital growth can generally be realized over one of two ways. The first way is through the sale of the property, obviously, or refinancing the property and taking out the equity that you've got stored in it. Second to that, you've got the rental yield. The high demand for housing in a high demand area, gold mine area, can result in high rental yields, providing you with a significant source of income. And a high rental yield means that the rental income generated by the property is proportionally higher than the property's purchase price, which is always a good thing. And I believe this is a valuable source of income for you, and it allows you to, consistently grow your portfolio over time. Another benefit of a good gold mine area is that in some cases it can reduce the risk. What I mean by that is it reduces the risk of low occupancy, low void periods where you don't have tenants in. It can, and because you've picked an area that's high in demand, you're generally not going to have any trouble with selling the property if you want to exit in the future, or with growth within the future. It's not going to depreciate necessarily as bad within a crash as potentially weaker areas do, because it's got a strong growth potential in the first place.
I'm still waiting to hear from you where the gold is, by the way.
Oh, we'll get there. And, off the back of the reduced risk is that, the properties when you exit are indeed easier to sell. So there's your first four right there, and all very good things. Potential for capital growth is increased, rental yield, reduced risk, easier to sell. Some strong points there. Alongside that, because it's an area of high demand, and you're less likely to have significant periods of time with voids within your properties, you'll have increased cash flow. And there's your gold.
The cash.
With high rental yields in gold mine areas, this can provide you with a consistent stream of steady income that can be reinvested in future properties, or it can be used to, improve what you've already got there. So when you've got that and a lower vacancy rate because of the higher demand for the area, because it's a good area that you've chosen, lower vacancy rates means that when you do your calculations, it costs you less to own the property. Now, what I mean by that is if you purchase a buy-to-let property for, say, £100,000 and you intend to rent it out, you rent it out for only 6 months of the year. In that 6 months, you're renting it out for, let's be conservative and say you're renting it out for £500 a month. £500 a month times 6 months is £3,000. If that rental property is costing you, say, £300 a month in mortgage payments, in a year, it's going to cost you £3,600. So already, before you took in, ancillary costs like servicing, repairs, maintenance, things like that, you're already £600 down, because you've bought in a location that doesn't have a high demand for tenancies. So it's going to cost you money. Whereas if you've got high demand for tenancies rather than low demand for tenancies, you're not going to have 6 months of voids in a year. You might have one, maybe two, or none.
So how big should my gold mine area be?
We'll get on to that. We're getting there.
You're drip feeding me.
I am.
Okay.
I'm going to run through my list. I've got some, some things that, about.
So I'm not allowed to ask any questions as we go along.
Of course, you're allowed to ask questions. The thing with the goldmine area is, okay, let's talk about size. How big do you want it to be? How diverse are you prepared to make your portfolio? Because your goldmine area could be as small as a single street, but it could be as big as an entire town. It depends on what works for you. You need to find what works for your strategies, for the type of tenants you're looking for your.
So you think first I've got to have a strategy, and then find a gold mine area that fits the strategy.
Yes. Sorry, did I not mention that? I may have missed that beforehand. See, this is why Shaz is here.
It's all becoming clear now.
It's all becoming clear. So yeah, if you have a strategy that requires you to, for example, student accommodation, if that is your strategy, then your goldmine area is going to be around universities. It's going to be near to universities. There's no point trying to find a goldmine area for student accommodation 50 miles away from any college or university, because it won't work.
Where's the best place to have a burger van if you're selling burgers, Kieran?
Outside a nightclub on a Friday night or a Saturday night.
Wherever there's hungry people.
I mean, that too.
So
I think your answer's better.
that fits in line with this, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know,
Which people need to think about. I think, like you said, I think when people start using kind of corporate buzzwords like strategy and tactics and leadership and management and culture, a lot of people kind of tend to get confused. And we'll cover strategy at some point, but it's important that all of this is in harmony, in sync with everything, because people don't think about these things. Oh, I'll just choose, for example, Peterborough, because that's where we're based, as my gold mine area, but they're looking to do something in a particular type of strategy where it might lend itself better, let's just say,
to Brighton.
Yeah, or even to say, let's say Stamford or Arundel, because if you're talking about Peterborough or somewhere close like Spalding here, which has kind of small market towns in and around Peterborough for those people who aren't familiar with the area. And so, you're missing a trick by just driving 5, 10, 15, 20 miles up the road, okay, and having a strategy that fits in line or a place that fits in line with your strategy, as opposed to not thinking about it, if that makes sense. So you got to connect those dots, haven't you?
Yeah, I think
is the point you're trying to make.
Yeah, a lot of people do testing and they do their due diligence in isolation. And what I mean by that is, this area here, for example, this area here is my goldmine area. It's got high rental yields. It's got, low vacancy rates. That's great. Okay, that's done. So I know my goldmine area. And that's all they do for their goldmine area. And then they go, right, my strategy is, for example, commercial conversions, because we like those, or serviced accommodation, or let's use serviced accommodation for argument's sake. So the strategy is serviced accommodation. So for
anybody who's not aware, because we have covered this previously, just a one line on what's serviced accommodation.
Serviced accommodation is the furnished holiday lets and
serviced
apartments.
But you're selling by the night.
By the night, yeah. Individual apartments, individual rooms, individual houses that are sold on a nightly basis, rather than long-term tenancies or short-term tenancies, which are, over 30 days.
Got it.
And so you've picked your goldmine area because of the high rental yields and because of the low vacancy rates, and then you've picked serviced accommodation because of its high cash flow,
and scalability.
And scalability, but when you look at them both in isolation, high rental yield, low vacancy sounds great. High cash flow, scalability sounds great. But if you put those two things together, they don't mesh so well, because you're not necessarily interested in the high rental yields for serviced accommodation, because it's a different type of business. So, you've got to make sure that everything is harmonious, synchronous with everything else. You can't look at each individual aspect of your business in isolation, in a void. you've got to look at it as a whole. You've got to take a bird's eye view, as it were.
Hand in glove fit.
Yeah. Of the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's my view on how big your area should be. It depends. It's your favourite answer, isn't it?
As an accountant, it is, yeah. Sometimes for solicitors and lawyers, yeah.
Yeah. One of the other benefits of having niched down into a good goldmine area for yourself, for your strategy, for what you're doing, is if it is a really good goldmine area.
Oh, I thought you were asking me there, by the way, but carry on.
If it is a good goldmine area, there is fantastic opportunity to network, because I promise you won't be the only investor in that area, and suddenly you can be introducing yourself or get introduced to other people working within that area, doing similar things, and
Collaborating, possibly.
And collaborating,
sharing ideas,
working together, sharing ideas, finding out what works there, what doesn't work there. So and as we both know, networking is key to business success, especially in property.
As our friend Rob Moore says, your network is your net worth, and he's right, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, completely right. And so Shaz, tell me, how do you find your goldmine area? What do you look for?
I keep it really simple, because I'm a simple bloke, as you know, and complicated doesn't work for me. When I chose my goldmine area, in fact, was mainly based on how far am I willing to travel. So as you know, we've got clients up and down the country. We've got clients in London who invest in Scotland.
It's a long way to travel.
Yeah, and
but if it works for them,
absolutely, and everybody's different. That's the whole point, isn't it? If it works for you, or that's what you want, fine. But I thought one of my non-negotiables is I don't want to be traveling anywhere that takes me longer than an hour. Okay, so
is that including traffic?
You're assuming I'm going to drive,
or be driven,
or you're assuming I'm going to travel in a car.
Do you have that helicopter yet?
No, but that's an aspiration, isn't it? You were talking about having big dreams and all that kind of stuff. Were you making that up? Are you just are you trying to burst my bubble now?
Not yet.
You've not been fooling with me, have you?
No.
All that stuff you said was true, wasn't it? Have big goals, big aspirations. Okay, think big, and then you can achieve it.
Think and grow big.
Yeah, reach for the stars or whatever, and you end up on the moon or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was all true, wasn't it? Yeah.
All true.
Yeah. So I can believe in those fantasies. Yeah.
Yep.
Perfect. So no, but so anywhere which is 1 hour traveling distance, because ideally I prefer to drive, because then I can kind of put on some music or listen to an audio book. I know you can do that on a train here, there, whatever. But then you got to park in a car park here, there, whatever. It's easy for me to drive, because I'm looking at 4 or 5 or 6 different properties. Okay, then you got to catch a cab, and this it's just hassle. Because when I'm there, I'm not looking at one property usually. I'm looking at a few, because you want to obviously leverage your time. So that was the main one for me. Alongside that, then obviously, so what do you want to do? Commercial conversions. So let's find areas where there's lots of commercial property. Let's find areas there's demand for commercial property, and let's find areas where I can buy a commercial property for less than it would cost me to build. Because why would you want to? And this is important. Why would you want to buy a property that's ready made if you can build it cheaper?
Yeah,
that's a margin, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I did the maths on that and said,
but why would you build it if you can buy a ready-made property and just convert it for less money?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, which is the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah, same thing, and the other way around.
That's right. So I did that, and then looked at, obviously, being an accountant, generally speaking, price per square foot to buy it, price per square to convert, price per square foot in terms of the GDV, the gross development value, whether I'm refinancing, selling, doing whatever I'm doing. So to make sure that those numbers and margins are in line with my overall strategy. I said, okay, now within an hour traveling distance, which areas are they? And then found those and said, I'll go for that one there. But along that path, by the way, let's just assume it's a straight line from A to B. Along that path, there are one or two other areas, okay, on that journey. So rather than having one kind of town or city, as you said earlier, I've got two or three on the way. So
Yeah.
although it's still an area, gold mine area, and I think quite often people refer to it as a hub and spoke, whether it's property or something else in terms of when you're looking to scale up. So create that hub and spoke on a graph,
your primary one is
on a map, sorry,
Yeah.
and said this is it. So and that's what I've done.
yeah, your primary one is your planet, and you've got lots of moons orbiting that.
Yeah, like we do in our stuff that we show people. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, which is fantastic. So what you're saying to me, Shaz, is there's not one place that is the gold mine area. It's all about what you're doing, who you're working with, what your aim is, and where you live personally, and how far you're willing to travel.
I think people jump on the bandwagon too much. So in the past, and no disrespect to any other town or city, by the way, or any of the ones I'm about to mention, people say, oh, Coventry's really good. Go there. Birmingham's good. Leeds, Bristol. These are the ones that we've heard. Manchester. Okay? But people are saying that because they've probably done the research and it works for them. And then so many people jump on the bandwagon.
It stops working.
No, but it doesn't work for them because they haven't got that strategy, and this isn't working. Like I've said, shared with you in the past, Kieran. For example, when we talk about marketing, and let's just talk about telemarketing, by the way, because I think this is also relevant. Telemarketing doesn't work. Telemarketing does work. You've just not been able to make it work because there's 84 components in telemarketing. Okay, all the way from how you market your particular product or service. Obviously, this also is important to property as well, because you can obviously have a telesales team looking to buy or sell property for you. And there's so many moving components in terms of your process: who makes the call, how they make the call, how they talk to people. Do they have a script? What's your marketing saying? What's your offer? Okay, what's the copy? All that type of stuff, and everything that goes with it.
And one of the fundamental things, and it's something we've discussed before, not necessarily not here, but we have discussed it before, is the difference it makes when you smile as you answer the phone.
Yep.
Just to the intonation of your voice, people can tell.
But you're never smiling when you call me on the phone.
No, I'm never smiling when I answer.
So you are smiling when you call me, though?
I'm smiling when I call you.
Okay. I'm going to listen out for that one next time. But, so there's so many moving parts. This hasn't worked for me. And the same applies to a gold mine area. Don't just go where everybody says, go to Peterborough, for example. It's fantastic over there. Yeah, but what are you looking to do first?
Yeah.
Then be clear on that and your aims and objectives. And again, sorry to become corporate again, because I know people want to kind of avoid that jargony stuff. And then find an area. And if that area lends itself to what you're looking to do, it's going to work well for you. So don't jump on the bandwagon.
Sound sage advice. When you observe the masses,
do the opposite.
Exactly.
And you're pretty much guaranteed to succeed.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So when you're out looking for your gold mine area, and you've decided I'm not prepared to travel longer than an hour, 2 hours, hour and a half. It's all individual. It's all personal to you, to your strategy, to what you're doing.
The more time you got, the more flexible you will be with that. Usually, the less time that you have, the more compact you are in terms of what you want to achieve.
And it's not necessarily prudent to, because I've seen this with some of our clients and people that we work with, is I'm going to buy in this area here because it's super cheap, and then they wonder why it doesn't make a profit, or it doesn't necessarily work the way they anticipated it. You can't just buy cheap and expect it to work. And that comes down to what we were saying earlier about making sure that it's a hand-in-glove service, that everything works together. Buying cheap, renovating up, and selling. If that is within your gold mine area, great. If that's say flipping is your strategy, just buying cheap. If the area itself has low value, there's still going to be a ceiling on what you can sell the property for. It doesn't matter if you add 72 bathrooms and 3 Olympic-sized swimming pools. If the area it's in has a market limit and a market cap, then
Is that house on your vision board? Is it 72 bedrooms and 3 Olympic-sized swimming pools?
I'd settle for one
It's all
Olympic-sized
coming out
swimming pool.
now. Yeah.
Settle for one Olympic-sized swimming pool. That's on my vision board.
But I think everything that you've shared is important because the Goldman area is a small cog in a big wheel in terms of giving you clarity to what you're aiming towards. And the really important thing is you've thought about it. As in, you put that effort in there. You do the research. You do your due diligence. Say, this is what I'm looking to do. And again, that's quite a few cogs in terms of doing your overall research. But you've got to do that heavy lifting up front.
To make the property machine work, you need each cog working.
Absolutely. And then we're going to just pick up on something you mentioned in terms of cheap. But that's our property side covered. Please stay tuned after the break where we're going to talk about mindset and we're going to finish off our talk on money. See you after the break.
Stay tuned to Salam Radio after this short ad break.
Need a great place to chill out? Look no further than The Lounge for quality food and drinks at a great price. Try our varied menu: pasta, seafood, burgers, grills, salad, soup, rice and sides. Also hot and cold drinks, milkshakes and mocktails. Leave room for our exquisite desserts. The Lounge, 417 Lincoln Road, Peterborough. Call 01733 709 306 to order for delivery. The Lounge, friendly service with a great atmosphere.
Pag Foods wishes you Ramadan Mubarak. Make your shopping experience hassle-free and see our exclusive Ramadan special offers. We have the biggest selection of Saudi dates at very competitive prices. And that's not all. Pag Foods have the widest variety of products to cater to all your needs and plenty of free parking to make your visit more convenient. Come and explore the largest ethnic supermarket in Peterborough. Pag Foods at 232 Lincoln Road.
At Cake Inn, all our cakes and slices are freshly baked for that delicious taste. At Cake Inn, we bake 100% vegetarian and halal eggless fresh cream cakes. Delicious flavoured cakes for birthdays and weddings, ceremonies and all other occasions, with free customised messages, even balloons and candles too. Order for delivery or collection from Cake Inn, 489 Lincoln Road, PE1 2PE, and your cake could be ready within 2 hours. Find out more and order online at cakein.co.uk or call 01733 496 584. Satisfy your cravings at Ibrahimi Buffet Restaurant. Enjoy a tantalising variety of Chinese, Italian, Pakistani and comfort food favourites, from starters to desserts. Kids under 5 dine for free, so bring the whole family to our restaurant at 63 Sycamore Avenue. Open every day from 5 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. Call us on 01733 313131 or book online to reserve your table. Ibrahimi-restaurant.co.uk. Every bite is a delight at Ibrahimi Buffet Restaurant.
Fancy the true taste of Middle Eastern Kurdish food? Asia Restaurant gives you the unique fusion of flavours from Turkey, Iraq, Syria and Iran. Eat in at 5 Fitzwilliam Street, Peterborough, PE1 2RU. Or order through Just Eat, Uber Eats or order through our website, asiarestaurant.co.uk. Call us on 01733 562 530. Asia Restaurant, the true taste of the Middle East. You could be driving, you might be cooking, you could even be working. But whatever you're doing, you're also listening to Salam Radio. And if you're in business, your potential new customers could be listening too. So talk to them and let them know what you have to offer. Advertising on Salam Radio is affordable and effective. And by doing so, you're also supporting this valuable and important voice within the community. Call 07866 319 679 or find Salam Radio online and across social media.
Cambridgeshire. This is Salam Radio.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back. If you were with us in the first half and you just joined us, welcome to you too. You're listening to the Property Wise Show on Salam Radio on 106.2 FM. And I'm your host, Shaz Nawaz, and I have with me...
Kieran Bateman.
That was good timing, Kieran.
Was.
Better than the first half.
Yeah, it was.
You've been practicing, haven't you?
I have.
In
All
front
break.
of a mirror with a mic or just in front of a mirror?
In front of a camera. I had my phone camera out just during the break. Just had my phone camera out. I was just in front of the phone camera. This is the time. This is the time.
How many takes do you do?
Oh, many lots.
That's good. It's effort.
You've got to try and
we're going
improve.
to talk about
haven't
money,
you?
and we might even talk about effort, even though I haven't got that on my list today, but we will talk about that. As always, we love your interaction and your questions, so please feel free to get in touch. You can call us on 01733 602 133, or you can text us on 07411 191 062, or comment on any of the live streams on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. So please do get in touch because we're here to serve you the best that we can. So we've covered quite a bit on property in terms of gold mine area, which is very useful. And you talked about cheap, and I just wanted to kind of share something. Is cheap works if you find a property that's below market value, so you got it cheaper.
Yes.
Yeah? And whereas if you and I think you're absolutely right. If you're going to find properties in a cheap area, for example, and then there might not be much margin. So buying something cheaper, it works well. So I didn't want people to get confused with that.
Yeah, no, completely
some of the
correct.
best deals that I've done, Kieran, or most of the best deals that I've done, have been where I overpaid for a property. Because there's been high demand, okay? And when we finish with the property, there's been high demand thereafter. I think there's this kind of whole thing in people's minds about get a cheap deal, haggle, negotiate, blah, blah, all that kind of stuff, which is fine. And I'm an advocate of that to an extent.
To an extent.
Yeah, to an extent. Because it's part of the sales process, okay? And mind games and business and all that type of stuff. But don't lose overall sight of the aim, objective, and the goal. Well,
it comes down to you doing your due diligence and checking the numbers, doesn't it? If the numbers work at, say, 10% above asking price, just for argument's sake, and you go in and you offer 10% below asking price, and they say yes, you've got yourself a fantastic deal because you know there's an extra 20% margin there for you. If they say no and you end up paying asking price, there's still 10% margin in the deal. It's still a good deal for you. A good deal works regardless of,
paying a bit extra isn't usually
extra
going to
doesn't
kill
break
it as long
the deal.
as you know what you're doing and you know the gains there.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to make. In the second half, we're talking about mindset, Kieran. So what do you have planned for us today? Because you're the guy who does all the research, makes all the notes, and has all the up-to-date information.
So mindset. So this.
Put your teeth back in your mouth now. Okay, let's try again.
Let's try again. Mindset. Talking about mindset on this show, we're going to talk about money mindset. It's kind of an extension to what we've spoken about before about money, but the traits that money likes, because money doesn't have a mind of its own, but it does follow particular paths.
Yes, it does. And what path are we following today?
We're following the path of information.
You're saying money has certain traits.
I'm saying that money has traits that it likes. So, for example...
Just want to be clear.
Yeah.
You're trying to confuse me, aren't you?
Always. I'm always trying to confuse you. If you believe you are bad with money, you will always be bad with money. If you believe you are broke, you will always probably be broke. Because common misconception. Act broke, be wealthy. Don't act wealthy and be broke. But a lot of people misunderstand that into thinking you're broke when in actual fact you've got money in the bank. No, because the people with money in the bank, I promise you, do not think they're broke. But they live within their means. They spend less than they they earn, they have assets that pay for liabilities, they have a growth plan. They understand money is a tool and not a commodity.
What if somebody wants to be wealthy and act wealthy too? Is that okay?
Of course it's okay. But I can promise you that a wealthy person can pretend to be broke for far longer than a broke person could pretend to be wealthy.
Not being sensible, isn't it?
It is. And, you've got to...
Live within your means.
You've got to take a look at it as, if you want that designer suit, fine, if you can afford it. And something that I quite like the concept of is I would rather pay twice as much for something when I can afford it than half as much for something when I've got to take it as debt.
So she's saying I can't max out my credit card. And I can't have that helicopter we were talking about.
No. I mean, you can if you want.
Is life worth living?
You can do it if you want. I'm not here to tell you what to do. But if
I always follow your advice, though.
But if you max out your credit card, and say you are paying
astronomical amount of interest, which I don't max out my credit card, by the way, and I make my payment every month, just so you know.
Say you're paying, let's say you've got a really, really, really good deal, and you're paying 10% on your credit card, 10% APR.
That ain't good in my world, by the way, but yeah.
But for a lot of
what you mean.
people, 10% is a good percent APR rate on your credit card. For me, wouldn't touch it. But I mean, I have a credit card that stays roughly with
In your wallet.
Yeah, exactly that. And you max it out. Say you've got, let's call it £10,000 in your credit card. Okay, £10,000. Do you know what the minimum monthly payments would be if you maxed it out? And could you afford those? The answer is probably not. Because even if it's only 10% annually, annual percentage rate increase.
It's adding up, and then it's something that you paid money for, which you might thought you got a good deal on. Once you add in the interest,
it's not such a good deal.
Late charges and all that kind of stuff, if that happens, it ain't a good deal, is it?
Yeah. And if you earn the average salary within the UK, which is £30,000, and that's works out roughly at about £2,000 a month.
After tax.
After tax, yep. Yeah. So your take home net is £2,000. You've got a credit card of 10 grand.
How did you find out how much I earn?
Well, I help fill in the balance sheet.
You've been looking at my pay slips, haven't you?
I have.
My bank statements.
I have.
Naughty boy.
I know. I'm terrible. You need to hide them better.
Buy a safe. Can't afford a safe. Can I buy it on credit card?
You can buy it on credit card.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you yes. I'm going to say yes to everything.
Good boy.
But on the proviso,
I talk about some of the traits that money likes.
Money likes. Yep.
That's a good deal.
But yeah, your monthly salary on a £10,000 credit card, you can't afford to pay it back each month. It'll be like £1,000 minimum payment each month. And when you factor in your rent, your mortgage, suddenly you're going to be living on credit cards, from credit card to credit card to credit card to credit card to credit card.
Yeah.
That's a terrible way to be, in my opinion. I know there are people out there that make it work.
What's the phobia called that, where people are scared of spiders, Kieran?
Arachnophobia.
What, people are scared of heights? Height phobia, somebody says.
Height phobia, no.
Okay.
It's got a Latin name.
Let me make it easier for you. Some people who are afraid of tight spaces.
Claustrophobia.
People
Wide spaces?
What about people? No.
Agoraphobia.
Okay. All right. Smart Alec. What about people who have phobia of money? Yes, it exists.
I have no idea.
Crematophobia.
Crematophobia.
Yeah. So there are people out there, Kieran, who are afraid of making money, would you believe?
Wow.
And a lot of them. For different reasons, like we covered on the first episode when we introduced this, about money doesn't grow on trees and we're just here to pay the bills and all that kind of stuff, which we already covered. But people have a phobia. Now, wonder they have some kind of a mental block and aversion. So first thing we always need to clear up that to move forward. But that's not for today, because we're not doing any counselling here, we're just sharing information and any information that we do share is not financial advice. If you want financial advice,
Go seek a professional.
somebody who's regulated to give investment advice. If you want advice on anything else we talk about, go to the professionals. We're just sharing information. The only thing that I am allowed to share is tax advice, by the way, because I'm regulated.
You are regulated.
Kieran,
I, however, am not.
Kieran and I can talk about property based on our extensive experience, Yeah. So where do you want to start, Kieran?
So, I've got a bad relationship with money. How do I turn that into a good relationship with money? What do I need to change? What do I need to fix?
I think if you're talking about the traits money likes with that, then you've got to fix those traits in you.
Okay.
And all together, I have just over 20 traits, in fact, just under 30 traits, by the way, that you should work on. And the first one is speed. Speed stunts. The money likes people who move with speed. I don't mean haste, by the way, but I mean speed, as in being decisive, thinking about stuff, and we were obviously talking.
So does this tie into more haste, less speed? If you're hasty without a purpose,
Yeah.
you don't get to where you want to go to as fast as you want to get to. But if you're speedy with a purpose, more
See,
haste
those
equals less speed.
who are clear on their
More
objective.
speed equals...
Yeah. Those who are clear on their objectives will move quickly, and it's that first mover advantage per se. We're talking about obviously property, and we do a lot. So you've done the maths, you've got the gold one area, you know the numbers, you know what the average price per square foot is to
You've
buy.
got your
to
power
refurb,
team.
you've got your power team.
Tune in next week for your power team.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, I was hoping next week we might talk about due diligence, because you mentioned that.
Ooh,
We
we
can talk
can
about
do
power
that.
team though, the week after, or we can fit both of those in if you like. But in terms of so you've got everything in place, and so you know exactly what you're looking for. Think about a dartboard, the bullseye, the target. So when you see it, and you've got the funding, the financing in place, so all of your pieces are in sync. And all you got to do is, okay, or all your dominoes, push the first one and you move quickly. So money likes speed. At the same time, what it doesn't like is people who sit there and talk about stuff and who tell us, I'm going to do this, I'm doing that. We've heard all sorts from, I'll join the gym next week or whatever else, to whatever else I want to do. I'm going to leave my job. I don't like it. I'm not happy in it. Start my own business, whatever it might be. But 5 years later, you meet them and it's the same tape playing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or the same CD. What's a tape, by the way? A cassette.
A cassette tape.
Yeah.
A cassette tape is two pieces of plastic and two reels that rotate within the two pieces of plastic, and a piece of magnetic film or tape in between with information stored on it.
You're older than you look.
Were you expecting that answer?
From you, yes. From me, no. Honestly, I'm not old enough to know what a tape is. I am really, though. Haven't we moved with times? See, with what speed we moved from tapes all the way to whatever people use nowadays.
MP3s, digital media.
And so some money likes speed, so you got to be decisive and you got to move with speed, okay, with a purpose. But a purpose is a separate trait, which I'll talk about some other time. That's number one. By the way, these aren't in any particular order, by the way, okay? I'm just listing them for people to work on these. Money also likes people who track and measure. And this is all the way from tracking and measuring your performance. I mean, in your business, whether it's property or something else, tracking and your bank account, okay?
Yeah.
Tracking how many hours you work, how many hours you spend on your personal relationships, everything. Those who track, and as you know, Kieran, I've interviewed a lot of people. I used to have a newsletter where I used to interview people. And funnily enough, the most successful ones were the ones who were very, very particular about tracking everything. At that time, I never knew these kind of traits. I didn't establish them. Okay. But later on, the money, the penny dropped. Okay.
So you're telling me that...
They're very pedantic about numbers.
That people who are a bit wishy-washy and a bit, well, it's roughly-ish, maybe, might be...
They don't know.
That ballpark figure don't do as well with money as the people who say it is this to the letter.
Well,
I know this exact detail.
well, as you know, we can quiz most business owners and ask them 3 to 7 questions, and they won't know the answer to most of them.
Yeah.
Okay? Even in the world of property, in terms of what's your yield, what's your rate of return, what's your return on your investment, okay? In terms of your finances, how much do you owe to which bank, and are you getting the best possible deal? What's your burn rate? All these things, I haven't got a clue. I don't know what you're talking about. What's your internal rate of return? People haven't thought about it. Generally, in business, we're talking about. Let's talk about marketing. What's your cost per lead? Okay, cost per meeting, cost per acquisition, lifetime value of a customer or a client. Okay, I don't know what you're talking about. No idea.
It's a figure.
Your top 20% customers, what's the average value there? How much it cost you to get?
Where do you get the majority of your customers from? Where are your best customers from?
Where do they come from? That type of stuff. So there's, as you know, there's a long list of questions. Most people don't know, whereas those who track and measure know, and then say, okay, let's look for patterns, correlations, okay, and see where the best advantage in my particular business is, so I can focus more on that. So tracking and measuring is important in all walks of life.
Yeah.
And money likes people who track and measure, because then they identify those patterns and correlations and do something about it. The third one, which is partly linked to speed, money likes courage. People who have the courage, okay, to live their life how they want. And a question that I think is very important to ask yourself in any situation is, if I was being courageous, how would I act in this particular situation?
Would you hand your notice in at work?
I would, but I think my boss wouldn't let go of me, Kieran.
I don't think your boss would let go of you either.
Yeah, I've tried, and she keeps saying no. By the way, she says no, you can't leave. So maybe one day she might see sense and say, "Go, okay," and we'll give somebody else a job. Then I can start my own business.
Imagine that.
I know, and I can act with speed, and track and measure everything, and finally have some courage to do something I want to do. Yeah, wouldn't that be great?
Wouldn't that be fantastic?
A lot of people live in fear, don't they?
Yes.
And it's difficult when you don't know what you don't know. But having that courage to say, I'm going to move forward. And we've seen so many times in business, because this is pretty much property and business, isn't it? Those people who have the courage to try stuff may fail, and they're going to fail often, fail fast, but they're quickly going to come at the other end. So money likes people who have courage to do things.
But even if you fail, and you fail often and you fail fast, if you fail quickly enough, you quickly realise that you can't fail forever. Fact, you can't.
Yeah.
If you're failing fast and
you're learning.
They're
lessons, aren't they? They're not failures per se, are they?
And if you're learning, then you're not going to fail forever. If you're not going to fail forever, and a lot of people pin their life's dreams, their hopes, their ambitions on some of these projects, and they can't afford to fail. And when you've got that drive, I cannot afford for this to fail. I might stumble, I might learn things along the way.
Burn your boats, and there's only one way, that's to keep marching ahead. Yeah. Fourth, money loves people who are ruthless with time management.
Yeah.
And time management really isn't time management, it's self-management.
Self-management, personal discipline.
Absolutely. So making sure you compartmentalize everything you have to do. You talked on earlier about having a good network, or having a network, so making time to do that, making time to do the other things that you want to do. People don't do that. They sit there and they're on the phone and they have a meeting, and as you know, we talked about this, they don't even have an agenda for the meeting, and before you know it, oh, it's been an hour, I'm still on the phone. What's the outcome? There's no outcome, there's no purpose, there's no objective. We're just chatting, and it doesn't lead to anything.
I mean, I don't even answer my phone if it,
when I call, yeah, I know you don't.
No. 9 times out of 10 I do. But if I've got time, if I've got space, if it's within my sphere of my time to answer the phone and dedicate the time to that phone call, then I'll answer. If it's not, I won't, because that's my time. I am the boss of the phone. The phone is not the boss of me.
Absolutely.
And I know you're exactly the same.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's, if I ring you and you don't answer, you'll get back to me when you've got time.
Yeah, don't ring me 4 times, but I know you don't. But
Yeah.
you rang me 4 times. You ring me once, I'm gonna fucking call back, which I will and you will. We'll call you back. Ring you
Yeah.
4 times isn't gonna change anything unless it's a really emergency. In which case, WhatsApp, text maybe, and this is the emergency. Call me back.
Yeah, absolutely.
But people just ring you again and again and again and again and again.
It drives me insane.
Yeah, it's not going to
'Cause
change.
it's not gonna
if I
change.
answer the first time, it means that I most likely have with me. I know, especially Kieran, I just put the phone on the side. So I'm reading a book, watching a documentary, whatever I'm doing. Okay, the phone's on the side. You ring it 4 times. I've not seen it 4 times. I've not even seen it once.
Yeah, but I mean, my phone permanently lives on silent.
Yeah.
I never have my phone on loud.
Yeah.
And so, if I don't have if the first phone call doesn't happen, and I don't answer your phone, then
Yeah.
I'm not going to answer it the 3rd, 4th, 5th time.
Yeah. But it's important to focus on time management and self-management, which again we'll talk about on a different episode. So that's number 4. Number 5 is money loves people who are disciplined in all walks of life.
Discipline.
Yeah.
One of the hardest things to do.
Yeah, but that's why money likes it.
Hmm.
And it moves towards those people who are disciplined in terms of what they're looking to do and what they're looking to achieve.
I mean, prime example is that, previously when we were finishing at 2:00 in the afternoon, I was going to the gym straight afterwards because it was a good time to go and there's still the rest of the day. Now we're back to 9 to 5. And so I've got to be up earlier to go to the gym because I don't want to go after work. So I've got to have that discipline to wake up.
You're not
and
up
go.
earlier, you're up later. You're waking up like 4 in the morning.
I was, but
Earlier than what you normally
earlier
routine is.
than what I normally would.
You were trying to trick me again, weren't you?
I always,
And you thought I wasn't paying attention.
but you
Keep
were.
trying though, you might get there one day.
One day. You're too sharp for me.
Not that, I wouldn't say that. Yeah, far from it. Number 6, you like this one. Money likes process.
I like process.
Yeah, I know you do.
I really
and-
do.
Yeah. But if you look at all the really successful businesses, the really big ones, we're not going to mention particular names, they're all simple and process driven, and they're process dependent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And no one process is reliant on one person.
Yeah.
They've got a meticulously documented process. And I think that's one of the
everything,
things.
that's right.
Everything is documented. I can hand you a stack of a how-to guide
A manual,
for this
yeah.
business, a manual, and you can read through it and follow the
And get it.
process
Exactly.
and get it.
And that's how obviously franchising works, and some of the biggest businesses in the world are franchises, aren't they?
Yep.
And
I'm loving it.
yeah, and process should run your business, and people should run your process.
Yes.
Simple as that. Okay, so having checklists and policies and procedures in place is important, especially if you're looking to scale, and money likes that. They move towards people who do that. Number 7, you're gonna like this one as well. So I've just know the ones that I thought you were gonna like, but because only, as you know, I only do this show for you, Kieran. Nobody else.
I know.
I hope
know.
you know that. Okay? All the effort I make.
You don't do it to share all this information with our listeners and viewers.
Well, that's just a byproduct, isn't it? I just want to spend another hour with you.
And I appreciate
Yeah,
you.
every week. Yeah. And number 7, money likes a strong sales system. As you know, most people don't like selling. And
No, they feel guilty about it.
Yeah, and they don't have a system for selling. So if you don't have a system for selling, then you're at the behest of the prospect, because you're going to be at their system for buying. And most people don't have a system for buying either, do they?
No, absolutely.
So-
No, completely not.
Everybody's in trouble.
Everyone's in trouble in that state. And this is especially true in property because properties are not small purchases.
Big.
They're not what we call impulse buys. I mean, if you think about it, and I challenge everyone listening to do this, think about anything that's up to about £30. Chances are, if it's something you kind of want, that'll be good, yeah, all right, you'll buy it. it's an impulse purchase. In some research, they say that the impulse purchase is up to £60, which is, a sizable amount, but requires less thought. A house, property, is not an impulse purchase.
It's not. So that's number 7, having a strong sales system in place. And the others we are going to cover next week, because we've covered so much today. And where does time go, Kieran?
Time has flown by.
Yeah, doesn't it? But I'm going to quickly run you through those 7 in case you've just tuned in for the trace money likes. Number 1, speed. Number 2, tracking and measuring. Number 3, courage. Number 4, ruthless time management. Number 5, discipline and self-discipline. Number 6, process. And number 7, a strong sales system. So those are things that people ought to work on alongside some of the others which we're going to share next week. And hopefully that's going to enable people to attract more money in their lives.
We'll combine that with your top tips for property that we promised them, but we forgot
Absolutely.
this
So
week.
until next week, take good care and see you next week.